For many years now, Russ and Craig have had many wide-ranging conversations with folks from all over the gaming world. This is one of those conversations.
D6G, The Lost Chapter.
And so I was like, seriously, how many times are we going to see a blog post about, hey, Russ, that's John over there, isn't it?
I think so. John, did you just get back from Lock and Load?
Oh, yeah, man, I'm here.
Excellent.
Dunkin' Donuts. I love this place.
I know, right?
John DeMaris, ladies and gentlemen, just wandered into Dunkin' Donuts accidentally. Didn't even know he was here.
Mr. Warmachine. Now, John, what are you eating there today?
A donut, of course.
Which
chocolate-covered donut.
Chocolate-covered?
Sprinkles.
Yeah. Craig, what do you got there?
Good call. I went with the donut croissant, and I've got to say I'm underwhelmed.
I kind of like them, but it depends on the day.
Yeah, they're okay, but I'm telling you, they cost 2.5 times what a regular donut costs.
I know. I don't think they've got 2.5 times the value.
No, because they taste. If you could somehow get rid of the texture, they taste exactly like a honeydew donut.
Yeah, I'd say.
I mean, it's a glazed donut. The taste, but anyway. So, John, come on over and join us. We're in the middle of a giant brawl about the season finale from Game of Thrones, episode 5.
I don't know if you've noticed this. The internets are freaking out over Game of Thrones this season. It's like every other episode they freak out. Have you noticed this?
Yeah. Well,
I have noticed.
Yeah. My favorite part lately is, I mean, all of us who have read the books knew what was coming.
We
right?
did
with Jon Snow.
Well, the funny thing is they kept bouncing around the timetable and introducing things that haven't happened yet, but hadn't done the big deed that we all knew was coming. So it's like, are they going to not do it? Because I was wondering if they're actually going to not do it. Maybe.
No, they did everything plus.
Right.
By the time you got to that episode, they had done everything that happened in Dance with Dragons that they had chosen to cover.
So we should probably, before we go any farther, we should give the obligatory spoiler alert.
This will be replete with spoilers.
Yes.
If you have not watched season 5 of Game of Thrones, and you want to stay a spoiler virgin, go elsewhere.
Do not listen to this episode.
You have 10 hours of TV watching to get under your belt before you should listen to what we're talking about.
So we'll wait. You go watch it.
You go watch it. We'll be here. Ready and go. Okay,
welcome back.
They've left.
Right.
So, I mean, first of all, I thought this season really had a slow start, which makes perfect sense when you consider that it's conflating the two slowest books in the entire 5 books that exist so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
So for those of you who are listening, God knows why you're listening to this if you don't know anything about Game of Thrones. But okay, A Song of Ice and Fire, that's how we're going to refer to the books. Okay, Game of Thrones refers to the TV show by HBO.
Right.
A Song of Ice and Fire is theoretically going to be, oh my God, did you guys see his blog post from yesterday?
No.
Okay, it's the 17th of June. So this was the 16th of June. At least that was when it was pointed out to me. I wish I had my other email up. I would read it word for word because I want to reach through whatever cable I could reach through and throttle the man.
George Martin?
Okay. Yes.
So what did he say?
So, well, it was juicy. About a month and a half ago, right? Or maybe even 2 months ago now. On his blog, he said, "You know what? I'm curtailing my appearances. I'm not writing any episodes for season 6. I am going to buckle down. I'm going to write Winds of Winter, which is the Song of Ice and Fire book 6, which we've been waiting for 3 years for already." And he's like, "That's what I'm going to focus on." Well, today he released today or yesterday or very recently. On his blog, he released, "Wow, am I a busy boy?" and listed all of the things. I'm trying to finish Winds of Winter. I'm also writing pitches for 3 movies. I'm producing 2 TV shows. I'm finishing editing this book. I'm starting these 3 books. I mean, it was like a list of the things he's going to do. And I have no right. I have no right to demand anything. The man owes me nothing. But there's no denying that this must have made him, I mean, the TV show must have been a windfall, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is his legacy. I don't care how much you like Wild Card, and I dare anybody to say they like it all the way through. Okay? But this is what he's going to be remembered as, and the way he's going to be remembered as he couldn't close the deal.
Because remember, as Robert Jordan 2.0.
Right, yeah, exactly. And we don't send all of your emails to John DeMint. No. So like, I mean, how do you go from a month or two ago, I'm going to focus, this is going to be my thing, to, oh my God, look at all the things I'm working on now.
Yeah.
My favorite quote about that was I saw somebody posted that Winds of Winter will come out 2 weeks after you've given up all hope that it'll ever come out, which is what's happened in the last couple books. So.
Yeah. Well, I think what he's realized is that in his writing, he cannot crush our spirits anymore. So he's gone meta. And he's crushing us with his publishing schedule.
Speed. Well, if he doesn't hurry up, the show's gonna finish the whole story for him.
Well, the show already has, right?
Yeah.
So let's get back to the show.
Right,
that's what we're talking about.
Right.
So, in my opinion, the first few episodes were okay because you're just like super happy that it started again.
Right.
And you're just watching it. You're like, yay, the characters that I know and love.
Well, my favorite part, really, in the later books and in this season, other than the fact, Tyrion, always awesome.
Yeah.
Was Arya Stark. So I love Martin's Arya Stark overarching plot, what's happening with her. It was paced a little slow in the books, and they paced it a little faster in this season, but not as fast as I would have hoped. I was hoping more would happen with her.
Right.
So they're obviously setting her up for more later. But I was kind of hoping if they're going to jump ahead anywhere, they would jump ahead with her, and they didn't go as far as I wanted to. But that part, so even though the season started off slow, whenever she was in it or Tyrion was in it, I was like, yeah, I want to see what happens.
Right. And I mean that as far as I have read, I've been on the internet for the last 3 days because it's Wednesday and the series finale, the season finale. God help us. The season finale was 3 days ago.
Right.
So, so many people who haven't read the books, like, oh my God, Arya, I hate Arya. What? Who cares about Arya? She's not even on the same part of the planet. I was like, well, neither is DeMaris, but anyway.
Right.
But yeah, no, I agree. Those are two of the coolest, and I can't handle
Arya is becoming
I can't handle the
assassin.
people who are there going, oh, you've turned a little girl into an assassin. That's so horrible. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not cool. Sorry.
No, it's vengeance.
That's cool. As far as I'm concerned, that's cool.
We're building a fantasy-based Calidus assassin. What is the problem with that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been waiting for her to be unleashed forever.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, I want to see her kill everybody on her list.
Yes.
That's what I want to see.
Now, did the scene with Meryn Trant, which is being posed as possibly the bloodiest death they've shown so far, did that satisfy your need to see her unleashed?
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, about time.
Yeah, as soon as that switch hit the back of the ring girl is what I was calling her because her hair was all down in front of her face. When he was beating each of the girls in the brothel, and one was like, ah, and then the next one was like, ah, and the third one was like, whoosh, silence. I went, ooh. And then he beat her again, nothing. Then he beat her again, nothing. And then she was like, looked up and it wasn't her face. And you're like, oh, and then you went, oh, the faces. Oh, and she pulled it off and it was her. Oh my God. Then it got really bloody. And I don't think I needed to see like the close up focus on what happens to a human eye socket when it gets a dagger punched through it. But it was still pretty cool, and they managed to make Meryn Trant, who was a gross person to start with in this show and in the books, like even worse with that last scene of him abusing little girls. So,
well, what's good,
I was okay with it.
The only and this is the thing that's kind of weird. It's because there's been gratuitous gore and various bad things happening the entire series. What's starting to happen now is the bad things are starting to happen to the bad guys, right? So that's like Cersei's getting hers and all that. So it's kind of like, well, since the good guys got, they had Robb Stark's, head sewn on with a wolf. Now it's time to start having them get theirs. And so I with Arya, I'm like, ooh, it's a good start. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't know if I can actually back up that point, Russ, because I mean, just as many good people are still dying.
Oh yeah, but
it's not like the pendulum is turned.
No, but what you were
just
having
like
before,
the disease is spreading.
Well, right. So what you were having before though was pretty much. It seems like in the early part of the books and the show, the good guys are losing
winning.
and the bad guys are generally doing well, right? And so now what starts to happen is it's just it's almost like a war, but it's like a Cold War, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we just address this notion that was the bloodiest scene? Like, can we just remind them about the Red Wedding?
Yeah, I know, right?
And then And then remind them about the mountain and the viper. I mean, the guy squished the guy's eyes out with his hands.
That's true, but they cut away from that right before the head exploded.
No, I don't.
I remember it being pretty gory.
It being pretty graphic.
No, it was gory. That
was
gory.
graphic, and the red wedding
aftermath more than anything.
The red wedding was
again.
gory.
The red wedding, though, you're not. I mean, she stabbed him in the eyeballs.
Watch it again.
And then the whole scene, she was like with her head next to his head, with a close up of his face with the eyeballs stabbed out. Yep. I just think I didn't say it was the most graphic. That's what's being put about the internet.
Yeah.
But I will stand by that it is one of the most. So, I mean, clearly it stands in the. It can hold its own in the ranks of the Mountain versus the Red Viper and the Red Wedding. I mean,
I will say this: television in general is getting more graphic. So if you watched Gotham at all, there was a scene where Fish's eyeball got scooped out, and you pretty much saw the entire situation. And then also in Orphan Black, when the pencil gets shot into the eye, that whole scene was pretty graphic. So I don't know if Game of Thrones is setting the tone or if it's just general in that way.
God help us.
I'm seeing a lot of eyes get ripped out of heads without the camera cutting away lately. So maybe I'm just getting jaded. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. I didn't watch Gotham, so maybe maybe I had one inoculation fewer than you.
But I think I'm with you, John. I for some reason I don't see these scenes. They're gory, but it's like it's Game of Thrones. Of course, there's going to be obligatory nudity and lots of gore. That's just how it's been since the beginning.
Right. Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what about? Okay. So let's look at some of the ways that we've deviated from the books.
Yeah.
And focus on this season.
All right.
So what's something? I'll start. Okay. What happened with Stannis and with his daughter?
Yes.
Okay. So in the books, A Dance with Dragons, which is the fifth book, which is the last book we got like 3 years ago or more. I think it's actually exactly 3 years ago right now. Mm-hmm. Stannis is marching off towards Winterfell with his army. Mm-hmm. The snow is descending upon him. The storm is descending upon him. But Shireen is not with him. Melisandre is not with him.
Right.
So none of that from the TV show is and I believe somebody, you guys aren't going to remember either probably, but I believe that Shireen and her mother are actually at Eastwatch.
Yes.
They're not even at Castle Black, I don't think.
Right. I thought that was correct. They're still on the wall, but
they're on the wall, but they're not even at Castle Black. So they're not even accessible.
Right.
Without some major shifting of pieces, which makes it very intriguing because both of the showrunners for Game of Thrones have been defending what happened with Shireen. So basically, quick rundown, he had his daughter burned alive because they believe that the blood of kings will allow them to gain power in that part of the world, and they were locked in a blizzard, and so he was convinced that if he killed his daughter in this horrible way, it would open up this power to him and he'd be able to march his army through the storm.
Right.
So in the books, Melisandre, the Red Priestess, is trying to get him to do that through the whole, since she's introduced, basically. And he's not Dad of the Year, but he's basically said no the entire time.
Right.
In the TV shows, this season, second to the last episode, he gives in and does it.
So does Mom, actually, which is kind of weird.
Well, Mom changed. Well,
she freaks out in the middle, but she's like, "Yeah, I'm cool with it."
No, but she's been cool with it, and in the books, sort of too, because she's the true believer.
Right.
But she believes in R'hllor, the Red God, and the whole thing. And Stannis is kind of like, I'll do what I have to do, and so this religion says that I'm the Messiah. Okay, well, I'll go with that then. It's going to help me become king, or whatever. So the dance.
Killed me in the show about that whole scene was right after Shireen was like, "I'm the Lady Shireen, and I'm here to help." I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was just like, and I was like, "Wow, that child actor actually has some chops." Like, I'm kind of on board with her doing something, right?
Right.
And then Stannis says, "Forgive me," and I'm like, "Oh my God, he's going to kill her."
Yes.
And I was crushed.
That scene was so powerful with her, the little doll and everything. I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah. Oh, that was. They did a great job. I mean, if that was their goal, was to crush the souls of the audience, then they did a great job because they put in scenes that made him more human, that solidified their relationship, that, oh my God, he blames himself because she has grayscale and he's done all this to make her life better. And then she's like, Daddy, I just want to help you. Tell me what I can do. Right. Well, you can die horribly burning at the stake.
Right. And well, the thing is, like, that's what's interesting about that scene, as horrible as it is, you're realizing, like, how dedicated he is to his cause, how much of a true believer his wife is, at least for the first half there, or the start, and just how, fanatical they all are. Right. So it does send a very powerful message to the viewer. It's just very, like, it's a parent especially. It's like, oh my God. But I thought it was a really powerful scene, and it was really it's sort of the essence of what the show is, and the books are really, which is the extent of evil people will go to get to their ends, right? The Game of Thrones, and what will you do to get power? So right. I think it's just as evil and ugly as everything else that happens, because people are willing to sacrifice essentially their soul or children or whatever to get the power.
Right. And a lot of people are like, oh, how could you do that to your daughter? Which was my reaction too. Mm-hmm. But if we look at it, he was introduced in season 2. The first time we ever met him, they were burning innocent people at the stake.
Right.
So that's what Stannis has been doing all along. So,
and don't forget, there's
kind of a double standard for you to be like, oh my God, he did it to his daughter. Well, he's been doing it to innocent people all along. So you can't, those people who are like, Stannis is going to be the good guy, aren't paying attention, or they've got a very wide definition of good.
The thing to remember about Game of Thrones is there are no good guys.
I disagree.
Even Eddard Stark, who is arguably a good guy, in his past, he rebelled against his own king and killed him.
Well, that's true.
So there is no real good guy, right? It's just
actually that's do it for a good reason.
Well, so he says. So
you can do the wrong thing for the right reason and be a good guy.
Well,
you can do the right thing for.
The victors say, right? Yeah, but you're right. I mean, but arguably everybody's a bad guy, right? I mean, he's probably the most noble character.
Yeah, there's only one person in the whole world that has a rightful, well, 2 theoretically, but that has an actual claim on the throne. So. Right. And then, of course, there's Jon.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if you ask Khaleesi about what she thinks of Eddard Stark, I'm sure she would think he was a jerk.
Well, she calls him one of the usurper's dogs.
Right. So, I mean, but you're right. So, like, the Jon Snow is arguably also the other sort of good guy, right?
Yeah.
So that was one.
But okay, I defy you to come up with something bad he's done that was actually against his.
No. He's a good guy so far.
He did sleep with the wildling after he took a vow not to do that.
Yes, he's broken his vow.
But everybody did that. Everybody does that.
But as evil things go in Game of Thrones, that's pretty low on the list. I would argue he has not been corrupt yet. He's an interesting character, right? Because he has theoretically, because he's a bastard, he has no claim on the throne. He doesn't seem to desire power. He doesn't seem to desire fame. He's a Lord of the Watch only because he was sort of forced into the position. He didn't really want it.
Well, he does have a moment where he's tempted by Stannis to take over Winterfell.
And
he has one bad night.
Yeah.
Where he's agonizing over that and then makes the right decision.
So arguably he's arguably
the closest you can get to a good guy.
And Tully there, right? He's another good guy.
Oh, yeah, Samwell.
Sam,
well, in the TV show, he's violated his
vows.
His vows, yeah.
In the book, I don't think he did he?
I don't think he did.
No. I can't remember that part, but I don't think
Or he might have, but not until they got to Bravos.
So what else? What else is being different?
Well, to go back where I was, so the showrunners are saying that don't blame us for the fact that he burned Shireen. We based it on George R.R. Martin's notes and him telling us what was coming up in the next book.
Yeah, but they can say anything they want because he's never going to write the book.
Exactly. They can say anything they want. And also keep in mind, the North is a huge place.
Right.
Like the size of the United States. And basically, Shireen is in Maine.
Right.
And Stannis is somewhere in the Midwest. And so how he's going to run all the way back there and try to kill her while there's a blizzard and a war going on at the same time, I don't know.
Well, what I was thinking might happen would be, here's what I think might have happened.
Yeah.
The Red Witch there is back with her, right? So
I think so.
She has a vision. Stannis is in trouble, so she burns the kid to power him.
Ooh, okay.
That would have been doable, and it would have made the dad more noble because he wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have been there.
And that's exactly the kind of thing the TV show does because by accordoning a lot of the plot and characters so that multiple characters become one character in the TV show to save them money so they have fewer actors. You have one character doing the role of multiple different characters from the books, and that's and to make it more emotionally poignant because the emotional stake you have in these characters becomes multiplied as they do more things than they do in the book. So that's true. Okay, now I have this huge theory. So we're going to follow Stannis to his conclusion. Okay, all right. So I love everything that happened to him in the Mother's Mercy, the last episode. I love that he did that once he did that. I don't love that he did that to his daughter. But I love that, yay, it worked. The snow has ended and the ice is melted. Oh, by the way, half your army ran away. Oh, by the way, they stole all the horses. Oh, by the way, your wife just killed herself. Oh, by the way, the Boltons somehow have an entire giant cavalry-based army and your the remnants of your army is slaughtered. I love all that. I love that Brienne finds him in the woods. I think it's very poignant that in order to find him, she turns her back on Sansa, which is something else we're going to have to talk about. Mm-hmm. So in the TV show, there she is. She pronounces judgment. I was Renly's Rainbow Guard in the books and King's Guard in the TV show, so as not to confuse the issue. And she says, do you have any last words before I kill you? It was your shadow, the shadow with your face that killed your brother. Do you deny it? And he's like, no, I don't deny it. And he's basically given up. Right. He's a broken man. He's realized he's not Azor Ahai, the Messiah. He's not the guy who's going to save the world. He's not going to be king. He's lost everything. Right? So keep that in mind. So she's standing in front of him. This is how the TV show ends, right? Mm-hmm. She says, you have any last words? He says, do your duty. She hauls back, cut to black. You hear, "Huh!" And that's all you hear.
Right. When
has this show ever shied away from bloodshed?
Well, I will say, isn't Brienne one of those only good characters in the books in the show?
She is too. She's another one. Excellent point.
Yes.
Point. Until she turns her back on Sansa, because that's actually breaking a vow. But anyway,
did she know she was turning her back though?
Well, she did because she said she would be watching it all night, every night.
Well, that's fair.
And then she didn't. But it's a fine point. It's a fine point. I would say it's even grayer than Jon sleeping with. With what's her face. But okay, so here's my theory, right? I stumbled upon these bits and pieces on the internet. I've put them all together.
It must be true.
It must be true. No. This is me putting these things together and going, oh my God, I feel like the planets are aligning for me, okay?
All right.
Okay, so here we go. Right. So Jon Snow, just like in the books, he's turned on by the Black Watch. In the books, there's a much better reason. It's much more justified why they're so angry with him.
Okay.
Okay. In the movie, I keep saying that. In the TV show, they're angry with him because he never says why he's saving the wildlings.
Right.
And they can't put two and two together.
Right.
So there's like this bizarre miscommunication.
Yeah, the book does a better job. The book does a better job of explaining the discord in the Night's Watch and what the problem is.
Exactly. And so they decide they're going to kill Jon Snow, which is, right out of the book. That scene is right out of the book.
Yeah, you can't complain about that if you read the book.
Now, the interesting thing about that is all these people are like, it's not fair, and don't tell me it's because the book happened, blah, blah, blah. My favorite thing was I came across this huge screed that was like, if he comes back to life, this whole show is ridiculous. It's rotten. And I want to say, look, dude, if he doesn't come back to life, the whole book series is ridiculous and rotten.
No, we had this debate after
with all
we
of
read
the pieces that have been put in place, it is going to be harder for Jon Snow to remain dead than it would be for him to stand right back up again.
Yes, I think when we read the book, I remember when I was finished the book, we had this debate about whether he was really going to stay dead or not.
Right.
Because it feels like there's been all this time placed into foreshadowing something big with Jon Snow. Right. And to kill him kind of takes out one of the major, now maybe something's going to happen, but it takes out a major plot thread that was really building in an interesting way. Right. And I can't believe all that exposition would be wasted on that. It's less than
Are we okay to speculate?
Yes.
I've got a lot of speculation.
What do you think, John?
We're in speculation mode.
What do you think, John?
So I think that Ned's sister, who had Jon Snow, I think
Lyanna.
Yeah, she was the mother.
Yep.
And I think a Targaryen was the father, and that's
Rhaegar.
a well-known theory. Like
Yes.
Rhaegar.
I agree.
R
Yep,
plus
Rhaegar
L
was the
equals J.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Equals Jon Snow, because I don't think Eddard is actually capable of cheating on his wife.
No.
Like,
No.
that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. fit with his
Eddard took
character
him
at
in because remember we never talk about it. So Eddard took Jon Snow in because of guilt
Yep.
over
Well,
over
okay,
the
so
wrong
ready?
he did.
Because
Yeah.
I'll back you up on this.
Yeah.
When you reread the first 3 books, where all of this awesome, exposition and foreshadowing is located before everything starts to get all confused and muddled. Okay, it reads like Eddard stumbled upon a rape scene,
Yes.
but that's you are reading into it. If you read the words and just the words, she's lying in a bed of blood. That's all you know. There's 3 Kingsguard guarding her and theoretically her alone. Makes no sense.
Right.
There's only 7 of them. The king is besieged. There's no way that 3 Kingsguard would be watching this theoretically hostage. That makes no sense. And they all fight to the death to protect her or to keep the Ned Stark and the other Northmen out.
Right.
Okay. And so we've got the bed of blood, which could be a birthing bed. And as she's dying, she keeps whispering, "Promise me, Ned," and we never find out what she's saying.
Right.
It's "Promise me, Ned, you'll take care of him," because if anybody finds out he has Targaryen blood, they will kill him.
Right.
Because keep in mind, this happened in the middle of a bloodbath where all the Targaryens were being wiped out except for 2. Well, others, but that's a bizarre, weird plot twist that went nowhere in book 5. But all the important Targaryens are either killed or the 2 small children are fleeing. Right. So yes, I 100% agree with that, John.
Yes, I agree.
And I
with
think
John.
and if that's not true, then he's a fool for not changing his whole outline to make it true.
Right. He's got an opportunity here to really bring it all together in an interesting way.
Yeah. So there's 3 the dragon has 3 heads, right?
Yep.
So you've got DeMaris. She's got the dragons. She needs 2 more people on her side to make an alliance that will eventually change the Westeros forever and fight off the White Walkers when they come for the wall in whatever.
Right. She has 3 dragons, and
yes, 3
only
dragons.
people with Targaryen blood can ride these dragons.
That's right.
So,
is that? I think it helps if you've got Targaryen.
I think that's the thing. I'm going to agree with John on that.
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure that's a thing, but that was always the impression I got.
That's the impression I got too. Yeah.
Do you have a theory for the 3rd Dragon Rider?
The only theory I've heard for the 3rd Dragon Rider, if in fact it's the Targaryen blood thing, I don't know if I buy it, and that is the theory that Tyrion is not actually Tywin Lannister's son, that he's actually the Mad King actually forced his attention on Tywin's wife at one point, and that's why Tywin hates Tyrion so much. Which would give him the blood that he needs and make it possible for him to be the 3rd head of the dragon.
That'd be interesting.
Although I would think that if that was the case, but I mean, I guess Tywin does say you're no Lannister, right?
He says you're no son of. He says you're no son of mine, literally like 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he keeps saying it when he's really angry, and Tyrion's kind of done some really crappy stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious if it was true.
Yeah, so that's why
if Tyrion knew, I feel like he would have, or not Tyrion,
Tywin,
his father. If Tywin knew, I feel like he would have just killed him.
Well, I think he's suspicious. I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows for sure.
Wouldn't he have used it though to get Tyrion on the throne and manipulated him? Because
no, that's what I'm saying. Well, no, because he's a bastard.
Oh, right.
Or he would be if that was the case. No, I don't think he ever knew. No, we can speak of him in the past tense, but I don't think Tywin knew. I think Tywin suspected.
Got it.
That was the case. And that's the only hidden Targaryen theory that I've come up with, that I've come across other than Jon Snow. But anyway, to get back to Jon Snow. So leaving the 3rd head of the dragon aside, because I'm not sure where that's going to land. And I see Tywin ending back with Sansa, actually, because he's the only person who ever treated her nicely.
Oh, Tyrion, you mean? Yes.
Tyrion, yeah. So I see them as like the Lord and Lady of the North.
That would work. I could see that. They kind of seem to like each other.
Exactly. Eventually. She could come around, I think. Especially,
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it bad that I just wish she would get killed? I mean,
that she would get killed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to her.
I didn't like her in the books either. I don't like her. She's such a wet.
Okay. No. Let's not jump the gun. Because I'm telling you, I'm gonna point out how all the planets are aligning.
Bring it together, Craig. Bring it home.
Really, the Sansa's the only thing we've got left to go through. Like major thing. Right. Okay. So here's the deal. How does he become the second head of the dragon if he's the Lord Commander? He can't. He's made a vow. He's stuck on the wall. To do that would break the vow. He's not going to break his vow again. Blah, 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 blah. However, here's the deal. Tying it back to Stannis and the blackout when she goes to cut his head off, and Jon Snow ending the season stabbed to death and dead in the snow. And he's dead. We know he's dead.
Blood of Kings.
Okay, ready? No. There's peripheral things.
I hear where you're going. I like
Here we go.
Right,
Here we go.
Bring it home.
Okay. Brienne buries the sword right above his head into the tree.
Yeah.
And says, "You're going to the wall. You're going to spend the rest of your life as a servant." Mm-hmm. He's a broken man. He says, "I'll have to do whatever you make me do. I can do that." She sells it. Because she's going to say, look, the big danger is coming from the north. If you really want to fight for your kingdom, then go up there and fight. You're never going to be king. No one's ever going to. They hate you. Your own people abandoned you on the battlefield. You are going to be despised. That's the worst thing I could think of to happen to somebody who thought he should be king. You're going to go up there. Now, who's better to be Lord Commander than the guy who was going to be king? Right. So they make Stannis Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. However many different ways Jon Snow gets resurrected, but he gets resurrected not as a White Walker, not as a White. Okay,
Bran's totally going to do it, right?
What's that?
Tree Boy.
Bran's going to do it.
Tree Boy will save the day.
Okay, that's one possible theory.
There are many ways, actually.
Okay, there's many ways. His soul will be in the wolf for a while.
Right.
And it could be Melisandre.
Yeah, right.
Could do it also because we know that they can do it. We've seen them resurrect people.
Right.
In the books and in the TV show. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now, theoretically, with him dead and resurrected, you could conceivably say his vow has been broken because his vow is until his death.
Right.
And he has died.
Right.
Okay. And so he no longer has that vow. So that frees him up to become, because he's not going to be made back into the Lord Commander. There's already a Lord Commander, and it's Stannis, and that's a great Lord Commander. They don't want Stannis he is promoted throughout the books and the TV show as one of the greatest war leaders of Westeros. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to get rid of him, and that also coincidentally I think makes if Jon goes numbers wise, if Jon's dead, somebody takes his place, and then he's resurrected and goes back to the Lord Commander. He's the 1000th Lord Commander.
It's also pretty cool.
So that could be pretty cool too.
And
but
if he's really a Targaryen, that also makes him a twice-born Targaryen. So couldn't he just be the two heads of the dragon himself?
Oh, at the same time, yeah. And he could put one foot on each side.
He could surf. He could surf two dragons.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. At this point, why not?
Anyway, so that's what. So when that's like three different theories that I was reading, and I went, oh my god, if that one happens this way, and that one happens this way, and that one happens this way, oh my god, that's amazing. So I'm not convinced, but I think it would be very cool if Stannis isn't dead, which is why they cut to black before she killed him.
Yeah.
Okay, and he ends up on the wall as Lord Commander, which then would mean when Jon gets resurrected, he's not going to be Lord Commander, and he's freed from his vows, because their vow specifically says, until my watch is ended,
right,
and I'm dead. So he's going to be freed from his vow, which will then free him to end up with DeMaris.
Right.
Right? That's what I think is going to happen.
Interesting.
See how it lines up? I think it lines up pretty good.
What do you think of that, John?
Pretty cool.
It's interesting.
It's I'm pretty happy. I mean, it was like one of those epiphanies when it happened to me the other day. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
So everybody make your scorecards and let's see if Craig's right next season.
Exactly. Yeah, write it all down. Take a note. Mark the tape.
Just think it'll be, a short 14 to 15 months and you'll know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so
we're going along.
Cersei's storyline is exactly the same. Basically, it parallels all the awful things.
Plus or minus.
The Mountain That Rides, his storyline is pretty much exactly the same. I think they should have either left Jaime out completely or come up with something much cooler. Dorne is an awesome place. That storyline was really bizarre, and that there was an easier way for them to get. I don't think Myrcella is dead, but I think they're going to have to turn the ship around and demand. There's going to be a big confrontation in Dorne as they demand the antidote to the poison that they administered to her, and it's going to do something to her that's going to affect her beauty to put her more in line with the book, where in the book she actually lost an ear and has a massive head wound. So something along those lines is going to happen. But I felt it was a waste of Bronn and Jaime, who are two of my favorite characters. I was really disappointed in that. I was disappointed in the Sand Snakes because they didn't get nearly as much time as I wanted, and their plot was much more weak than I would have liked, much weaker than I would have liked.
Just as an aside, I also love the Sand Snakes, and I loved it when the young one was messing with Bronn.
No, that was a great scene.
That scene was
redeeming moments. There were redeeming moments,
but you're right. They needed more Sand Snakes, less other BS.
Yeah. Less Sand Snakes in jail, also, I would say.
Yeah.
Although that scene was a gem.
It was.
I'm perfectly fine with anything that focuses on Bronn. So, even if I don't like where he is or what the overall plot progression is based on what it's doing, I'm fine as long as he's almost as good as Tyrion to me, as far as his quality as a character and his acting, and I think it's great.
I love the guy that plays Bronn. He does such a great job.
Awesome.
He's really good. Yeah.
He's in a BBC series right now, isn't he? That takes place in the 1800s. I think I saw him. Like, he's a good guy. Ripper Street.
Yeah.
He's in Ripper Street. But anyway, okay. So that leaves us pretty much with, Tyrion's story in Dance with Dragons, the book, was ridiculous and long and unnecessary, and I lost track of how many rivers he was traveling down.
Right.
And eventually, I don't even know what direction he's traveling in at the end of, I thought, wasn't he going back to Westeros at the end of A Dance with Dragons? Because that's my memory.
It got a little fuzzy. They definitely skipped around a bit with him.
Yeah, and he had grayscale on top of that.
Yes, which they switched.
In the TV show,
which I don't get. I mean, I'm okay with it, I guess, but it was still different.
That's what has to happen. But
yeah.
So in the TV show, he's pretty much making a beeline for Marine, which is where DeMaris is with all her drama.
Yeah, he hooks up with Khaleesi, but in the books, did he get that far?
No, he never did.
Yeah,
he never even got remotely close.
Right. That's what I thought.
No.
So they changed that literally. I mean, quite a bit.
Well, in a lot of places, they've just advanced the story further.
Right. I think that's where he was supposed to end up.
Right.
I mean, if not, that's a huge change.
Right.
Because
now he's a sidekick of hers, right? Basically. So.
Yeah.
I mean, let's all be honest. The sooner they get DeMaris and that whole contingent out of Marine and get him in Westeros,
the better.
Oh my God.
That's the story we want to see.
Yeah, that's the weakest part of the books and the TV show.
Yeah.
Is why one of your strongest. I mean, I get he locked himself in. The dragons have to mature, so she's stuck. I wish she could have been doing something more interesting, because I feel like she's incubating. For like 3 books now, she's been kind of like sitting there, and I'm gonna take this city, leave it alone. Take this city, leave it alone. Take this. I'm gonna make it work in this city, and then
I think what he's trying to do is to make her learn how to rule, so she can be a credible ruler when she takes over Westeros.
I just wish it was more.
But I think there could be some better. There could have been some better events that were more compelling than that time period. Yeah, other than just raiding terrorists or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
Also, just as an aside, they should never have killed Barristan the Bold.
Yes.
No, they should not.
Agreed. That was a mistake.
Yeah. That was a mistake.
Barristan the Bold's disappearance and reveal were 2 of the coolest things that this entire book series has done.
Yep.
And made him like this awesome character. And the guy who acted the part was awesome.
Right.
It was great. It would have been great if everything had happened except he had survived that gut wound.
Yeah.
That I would have been okay with all that change and little addition and tweak. But yeah, killing him was... And I get what they're trying to say. Like online, when they're defending their choice to kill him, they're saying, well, that we have to free the position of advisor so that Tyrion can step in. But I don't see why Tyrion couldn't. Well, I guess, I don't know. Would Barristan have served with Tyrion? I don't know. Especially once word gets to them that he killed his father.
I don't know. But it was a shame.
I don't know. But I still wish they hadn't killed him.
Yeah.
It seemed like a cheap out to me.
Yeah.
It was a waste.
Yeah.
A waste of a death.
Horrible waste. Waste.
Yeah.
And so let's bring it back to Sansa, and we'll wrap up our little wrap up with Sansa. And of course, we're talking about Sansa, we have to focus first on the wedding scene, which Russ is perfectly fine with.
Well,
I was very uncomfortable with
I was uncomfortable with it, but I don't know that it was any worse than any of the other uncomfortable scenes in the series. That was
right, but I would make an argument that it was unnecessary to be that graphic. And you can say they've done it before, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was necessary when they did it before either. And I think rape is something that you might want to be a little more careful with when you're dealing with it, and use it if your artistic draw brings you in that direction. But you need to be prepared that it's a third rail that's going to cause all kinds of controversy.
I just wish there was less of it in the whole series.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, my problem is every time they use it, they're like, they use it once and you're like, ooh, oh God, that was really, and my huge problem is they use it and it's not in the books. So they're adding it to the TV show.
Well, didn't she marry him in the books?
What's that? Okay, this is,
that's right.
We're talking 3 rapes. We're talking in the TV show. We're talking the Khaleesi with Khal
Drogo.
Khal Drogo.
That wasn't
in the books was not.
It was not at all in any way, shape, or form rape in the books.
Right.
It was completely consensual and actually very tender as far as, like a forced marriage could be.
Right.
Okay. Then there's over the dead body of Joffrey in the Sept between Jaime and Cersei. And again, that was not rape in the books. That was like this really weird, consensual, clumsy, oh my God, all this awfulness has happened. Then she's all ticked off afterwards, but it's not. And then in the books, what happens is Jane Poole, Sansa Stark's best friend from her childhood, somehow survived the destruction of the Starks at King's Landing.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And she was sort of kept away. And then she's dragged out as Arya Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And she's brought to Winterfell to marry Bolton, and then Bolton does actually even worse things to her than he's doing to Sansa.
Right.
So that is there, but it's not to Sansa. So my issue is this. Okay, the first time they did it, they apologized for it. And you're like, so okay, the first time I walked up to you on the platform of the subway station, Russ, you punched me in the face.
Right.
And I was like, Russ, what the hell? And you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Okay. The second season, let's say next year, I meet you on the platform again. I'm like, Ross, you punch me in the face again. You're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay. So the third time that you accidentally show me this horrific rape scene, I'm going to be like, seriously, you're not sorry. You keep doing it on purpose. So they're using it to get a rise out of the audience. It's not actually, in my opinion, driving any of the action in a necessary way, because you can see that she's being horrifically misused and abused without graphically, I don't know. Because I will tell you, it was a hugely powerful scene. I'm not going to deny that it was effective in every way they intended it for it to be effective. I would have preferred, to me it actually, actually I would say it's actually a failure, because what it felt like to me was the driving force behind a change in Theon. And when that change took 3 episodes to occur, it was disconnected enough from the rape scene so that it did not build and provide the denouement, if you will, to that horrific moment.
Yeah,
I would say it actually, from a narrative point of view, was a failure.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of it, John?
I'm a bad person for saying this, but I really hope that Theon and Sansa both just get killed.
You hope the snow at the bottom of the wall wasn't quite as deep as it looked.
Yeah, or something, or they get down there and then they get caught and just obliterated. Yeah. I just want them out of the story. I don't care.
All right, wow.
I care nothing about Sansa. I care nothing about Theon. Yeah. I can't wait till Ramsay gets his. I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I can't like Sansa in the books, and because they even make her worse in the early books. She's just so annoying.
Well, she's whiny, and she actually causes all the problems.
Right,
by
she's annoying,
telling people secrets.
Right, she's annoying to begin with. She's annoying in the middle, and I'm so annoyed with her in the books that I don't mind that she suffers sometimes. So in the show, I guess I don't care about her as much.
Well, in the books, she's not really suffering. She's just kind of trapped in the airy.
Right. But I just don't like her. So I can't like her in the show either. So I just don't like her, period.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
But that doesn't, I think the show is, I think the one thing about that scene that I think was good was that in the books, they have a lot more time to do exposition on Theon, and you really get how into his head the Boltons have become and how really lost his soul is.
Yeah.
And so I think that scene did show that in that way, that he was also that lost, and so any kind of redemption he can pull out is really impressive because he's really a mess. So I think they were trying to go for that, but I would agree with you that it does seem like every season they have one of these scenes to try to get controversy, and they probably could have done that scene in a different way.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I concede your point that it's not a total failure because it does do that with Theon's character.
Right. So anyway, but I'm with you, John. I don't really care about that either of them anymore. So yeah, the sooner they both die or get their just desserts.
Well, I have found her to be underutilized and not overly interesting for the first 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And they really build her from a publicity standpoint as a main driving force in season 5 to the point where they were nicknaming her Black Sansa.
Yeah, see, I don't...
And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be great if she suddenly turns like Arya, but she didn't.
Yeah.
That was she had moments of rebellion, and then she had that moment of strength at the very end of the last episode where she says, if you're going to kill me, I want to die with at least part of my soul intact, so go ahead and shoot me right now.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a standing up in a way, but I ultimately was disappointed in her entire story arc from this episode.
I just felt too little too late. Come on, Sansa. You've had a lot of opportunities to do some good in the story, and you failed at every turn.
I agree.
So,
Sansa's lame.
Yeah. Okay.
Arya all the way.
Any other theories?
I'm in Team Arya. Go, Arya.
Go.
Oh, yeah.
Where does Arya end up in the whole show, do you think?
I think she just is going to end up killing
She's gonna
all
kill
kinds of
everybody
bad guys.
on her list, and there'll be a showdown at the end between her and Khaleesi.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
That's bizarre. Okay.
Hey, stranger things have happened.
Mark the tape again. What about Ramsay? Who do you think's going to kill Ramsay? Now, here in this moment, I feel like the grandfather from Princess Bride, or I feel like the kid from Princess Bride, and one of you is going to say, "Oh, no one kills him; he lives." And I'll be like, "What kind of garbage are you reading me?"
I don't know.
No, I mean, if there's any justice in the world, Sansa will do it, but she does not have it in her.
Well, in the TV show, but I mean, she's not even anywhere near him in the book.
That's true. So. I guess the TV show is more fresh in my mind, so that's
absolutely. I mean,
I don't know.
Let's all be honest. We all read the A Dance with Dragons when it came out 3 years ago and haven't touched it since.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know many people who felt obliged or intrigued enough to read it again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I could slog through it again.
I couldn't either.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna try.
We're good.
Yeah, more power to you, man.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be the second time I've ever done an audiobook at twice normal speed, I think.
Right. Well, there you have it. So what do you guys think? Are you enjoying it though, despite all the differences? Are we liking this?
There were episodes or parts of episodes that I enjoyed more than Hard Home, the big giant zombie invasion. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was
That was amazing. More of that.
Amazing. Yeah.
So,
that was, 10,000 zombies jumping off a cliff, all basically dying, and then lifting themselves up again. Actually, in John, in line with what you were saying, where you thought, that Shireen was really showing some chops and it would be cool to watch her do something. What about that wildling woman in the Hard Home episode that was like, she was kicking ass and here's my babies. You're going to go there. I'm going to fight. Oh, look, children, they're going to rip my throat out. Like, what?
Yeah.
And that was Walking Dead level emotional manipulation right there.
It was bad. Yeah. I actually wanted that character to stick around for a while.
Yeah, me too.
Here's an interesting, strong female leader that I'm kind of interested to see how she develops, and then she just died.
Yeah.
I was like,
in this horrific way.
What are you doing to me?
It was 100% Walking Dead.
Yeah.
The reason I think this show is way better than Walking Dead is that I feel Walking Dead is 100% emotional manipulation, which usually I'm good with, but it's not, I don't think it's as artistic, if you will.
This show has obviously some of that, but I do like.
Oh yeah, it's got some of it for sure.
But I do like there were some really good payoffs this season. The giant, the zombie attack was one. The scene with Khaleesi and Tyrion and the dragons in the arena was a fantastic scene, and they really did a good job. You can see how the CGI has improved through the seasons too.
Oh yeah.
In the early seasons, the CGI was pretty, you could see it. And that third season with the dragon and the spears getting him in the neck and her riding him, this season was great. I thought they really nailed that, and you could really start to appreciate how the dragons were going to come together and fight. And so
right. Now, did it bother either of you that she had basically abandoned all of her friends surrounded by bad guys?
It bothered me because I was like, that doesn't seem like something she would actually do.
It bothered me a little bit,
but then you realize when you see Drogon in the last episode how wounded he really is.
She was saving her. I read that as she was saving her baby.
That's how I interpreted it after seeing that last episode.
She wouldn't. I felt that she felt Drago wouldn't leave her side,
right?
And he was defending her. So she was all. You could watch her face. She was all excited that he was coming to her aid. Yeah. And then when the spear started hitting him in the neck, was when she freaked out and was like, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" And she realized only if she could. So I saw her saving her child more than abandoning her friends. Was the way I read that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I could buy that.
So I liked that scene a lot. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I was curious because that's the exact progression that I went through.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the show a lot. I mean, there's changes, but it's making me very disinterested in the books. I think
right.
I think I'm going to get through this show and I'm going to view however the show ends as canon, and I will be interested to see if I have any interest at all in reading the rest of the books.
That's the danger, and I think that psychologically, whether you admit it or not, that's where most people are going to be.
Right.
The first version you experience in your head is going to be.
It's
canon.
already that way because there's already been changes that now the books cannot catch because they just changed what he's already written. So So now it's to the point where I'm kind of reading two stories, but do I care about the other story? Because I know I'm at least 2 books away from the end or whatever, and it's going to take 10 more years to get those 2 books out at this rate or longer. Yeah, so why do I care that much?
On average, 10 years before he's finished with the second book.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna watch the show and be done with it.
Right. The show will be done 8 years before the series.
Right.
Maybe Sanderson will be around and can finish it.
Okay. Wow.
Pinch hitter.
Wow. All right, well, John, thank you so much for joining us tonight and discussing all these highly controversial Game of Thrones topics.
Now keep all your memories of Lock and Load fresh because we're going to talk all about that next episode.
Indeed we are.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Thanks for purchasing a D6G Lost Chapter. Supporting the show helps it grow.